Hello from New York. I'm Sean Branagan from the Newhouse School at Syracuse University. I'm the director of the Center for Digital Media Entrepreneurship, and I'm honored that I'll be a part of the live panel on the 28th at IMMAA, where we'll be talking about the opportunities for startups in a post-pandemic world. I will tell you, I have a couple of things to say about it. And most people would not accuse me of being mild in my opinions. One, I'm bullish. I'm bullish that what's about to happen and the post-pandemic has accelerated. The pandemic has accelerated a number of trends that we've been watching and identifying. We do a report called Media Next. That's media-nxt.org, where we look at different technologies with students, and every year put a report out of things that we think are coming, and we're in our 4th year doing that. The other thing is, not only am I bullish, the timing's right. This is the next cycle for entrepreneurship and venture investing. One of the things that we are keenly aware of is that as investments go, they go in cycles, and an investment fund being a 10 to 15 year horizon, we're now cycling out of the venture cycle that included things like unicorns and the expansion of New York City and LA as elements of as centers for startups, major startups, especially media startups in both those cities. And in addition to that, in this cycle that's just ending, we're seeing exits where they've gone public. We're seeing other examples of ways to go public that are new. We're trying as part of this cycle with some of the new adventures. And then there's some things that are happening that have been happening only in this cycle that really weren't in the previous cycle with startups. Things like accelerators, which have proven out and are getting better and more focused, and a bunch of other things. So one, I'm bullish that the pandemic has created some opportunities to move and accelerate some technologies and trends that have happened in media. The second one is that we're at a start of another cycle of investment in major startups. And then the third thing that I'm going to point out is that we are looking at in the pandemic, we have had not just an acceleration of these technologies, we've had an adoption and a behavior change. One of the things that we talk about in the Media Next report is that behaviors take about a 60-day for us to establish a behavior. And then it's another 2 to 3 months that we turn it into a ritual. Well, this pandemic's been happening long enough that we have created new rituals around media consumption. I think we're going to see brand new models. I think we're going to see all kinds of interesting things. Let me end with a couple of thoughts, very specific ones that we can get into in the panel. One is, I think we're looking at regulatory measures addressing some of the large tech companies, the platforms. The truth is, those companies are media companies. They've known it all along. They just, for various reasons have chosen to say they're platforms and they're not media companies. They are media companies. And I think they'll embrace that more in the coming months and years and in the next decade. But I also think we're going to see an unbundling. The concept that for anybody who follows this space and has looked at this last cycle, that from the previous or the very tail end of the last venture cycle, Craigslist was one of the biggest successes. And I encourage people beforehand, before the conversation, is to look at the unbundling of Craigslist. If you were to look at a really excellent blog post that talked about the things that were created inside of the all-purpose Craigslist have become very specialized versions that spun out and became, in many ways, bigger entities than Craigslist did, such as Uber and Airbnb. They were all inside, and Indeed, they were all inside of this gigantic thing called Craigslist. I think we're looking at the same thing again for LinkedIn, certainly, but on the media side in particular, in YouTube and and Facebook. So I think we're going to be looking at the unbundling of those big platforms. That will be a major driver of some of the things that are going to be coming into clear view in the next few years as post-pandemic activities start happening. I think we're also going to see a huge influence on the international scene with China. The bite dance with TikTok, but also other attention on media, but also Alibaba and Tencent. I think what we're looking at are companies that are so big they're going to be going after media on a global scale, and they've made no secret about that. So some of the things that I'm looking for is big unbundling, and then the last one is there are some technologies that are ready. AI is finally starting to look like real AI and can be used in media of all shapes and forms. 5G in the United States, I know in Europe it's been there in longer, but I think the use of 5G for creation of media is going to be a big area for opportunity. And then a natural outgrowth of this pandemic has been the acceptance of virtual, like we're doing here. How do we do what we used to do physically, get on a plane and fly across the country or the world? We're now doing in different ways. Not only those behaviors changed, it's also opening ourselves up like we are with Hopin, that there are new ways to create media that used to be a physical experience. And that is the nature of media over the centuries. We used to go to the musician and you'd have to go out and only see the artist perform. And then we got to recording, and the technology allowed for an industry to emerge, a media industry. I think we're going to see the same kinds of things where events become more than just a social event. It will become a form of media, a new and different form of media. I'm looking forward to talking to everybody on the 28th during our live session. For those who are interested, here's my contact information. I thought I'd do it this way. Yes, my wife is a teacher and she has little whiteboards that I could use at home. So thanks very much. Encourage you to look at the Media Next, media-nxt.org, and download the reports that are there from 2017 through this year. The latest one just came out, and we look at different technologies and trends. Some excellent work by student researchers, which is another aspect of this that's really been fun, is to have students do the research. Okay, talk to you on the 28th. Bye. So long from New York.